Good morning to all. So we are at yesterday we completed, that was the complete information about the first unit, how to write the first unit. So today we are going to discuss about the third unit, that was completely about the geography. So such a geography so in these the main topics are geographical regions, the animal fauna, climatic and fauna, Paleo-Arctic, Neo-Arctic, Neotropical, Ethiopian and Australian regions. And Wallace line and discontinuous distribution. And continental drift. These are the such topics, so mainly your second unit syllabus. So these are second unit third unit syllabus. So that was geographical regions, climatic and fauna of these regions, Wallace line, discontinuous distribution and continental drift. So in these the main important question was that was climatic and fauna of Paleo-Arctic region, Neo-Arctic region, Neotropical, Ethiopian and Australian regions. These are the mainly important question. So it is a very important essay. For essay question, it is important for essay. So in these so first geographical regions, and so they asked to write first the question. So you observe the question, so write about the geographical regions, then also you write the same answer, that is the regions of Paleo-Arctic, Neo-Arctic, Neotropical, Ethiopian and Australian region. And so otherwise they clearly mentioned to write the animal fauna of so write about the animal fauna of individually. They also asked to write the animal fauna of Paleo-Arctic region and animal fauna of Neo-Arctic region, animal fauna of Neotropical region, animal fauna of Ethiopian region and animal fauna of Australian region. So individually they asked to write. So in these so now what happens is so they asked to write individually, and they also asked to write about the geographical regions for essay questions. So based on that so you so this question is for only short answer. Also ask they also asked to write individually short answer question, and also asked to write that is a essay question. So for essay question you write first what are the regions are included on that particular area, and what are the climatic conditions of that particular area, and what are the border remaining areas which are surrounding areas for those particular area. And so now then onwards you write about the fish population, fish fauna and amphibian fauna, and so reptiles, birds and mammals. How many types of fishes are there, how many types of amphibians are there, and reptiles, birds and mammals. So you clearly mentioned the animal, so name of the animal, so then only you got the full marks, so full points. And so the very much impressive that is so you draw the world map first of all. Why? Because that can shows the different regions, that is a neotropical region and a neo-arctic region, paleo-arctic region, and Ethiopian region, Australian region and Oriental region also. So those are the main regions. Why? Because so the world map can only shows these different regions, and then only you got the full marks. So why? Because it is become very completely the dry topic, that's why. So you use these technique, it is very much helpful to you. So then only you can able to write the remaining answer for this. And Wallace line discontinuous distribution, so these are the definition is there for these Wallace line. And the discontinuous distribution, that is a Wallace line is mainly that was do different areas for the separation of the animal fauna. So for the mainly that was make the barrier for the different populations. So those population may not be cross that barrier, that is a line, that is a Wallace line. So that was mainly by the Wallace, as the name of the scientist Wallace and Huxley. That's why that was named as a Wallace line. And the discontinuous distribution, so it was they asked to write short answer question. Why? Because the discontinuous distribution, some of the examples are there. So the organisms which may not be presented throughout the world. Why? Because such organisms are permitted for particular areas only. Why? Because some of the climatic conditions are so support to live the organisms at particular area. The adaptations, they made the particular adaptations for living the particular areas. So such adaptations are much available and much helpful for those organisms. So that's why the discontinuous distribution is so mainly, so you define the word discontinuous distribution. So discontinuous, such organisms are not available throughout the world. So those are permitted for particular areas. Why? Because so the human beings are lived in the terrestrial region, and some of the organisms are lived all are human beings, but some of the polar regions, all the human beings are lived in the polar regions, and also inside the India and African country. So different areas are there. So the climatic conditions are also there, also vary from each area to the one area, one country to the one another country. So in these mechanism, so we are completely adapted to live for these India, so in these area only. So we may not be, so we if we so unfortunately we entered into the polar region, that so we are immediately going to be die. The temperature is very less, so we can't make the adaptations to live that particular area, so we may not be lived at there. So so to overcome that problem, and a main example is also there, that is the freshwater and the marine water. The freshwater organisms are lived only adapted to live in the freshwater only, but not in the marine water. And the marine water organisms are also able to live in the marine water, but not in freshwater. But some of the fishes can show the the migration for freshwater to marine water and marine water to freshwater. Such organism made the different adaptations. Why? Because if the excess amount of the salinity was adjusted out, excreted out through their gills region, so they can having some adaptations, then only they can able to survive in the two different regions. Why? Because at the freshwater the salinity ranges are very less, but in marine water the salinity levels are very high. So such organism made the migration from the one area to the another area. At that time what happens? Such adaptations. So those adaptations are only helpful for the surviving of that organism in the two different areas. So otherwise, so if the completely freshwater organism we transfer that fish into the marine water, then immediately such organism was immediately going to be die. Why? Because so their the osmotic pressure. So the osmosis mechanism may not be going to be functioned, so their salinity, so that was a so the more amount of the salt water is entering into that body, that the salts may not be so adjusted out, excreted out, so those all are deposited on the body of the fish. So that was leads to cause the imbalancing of this osmoregulation process, that leads to cause the death of that particular person, even though the remaining all the organisms also, the kangaroos, that was mainly the marsupial organisms, those kangaroos are able to live only inside the Australia, that is the climatic condition is very much helpful to that organisms, that's why those organisms are only so lived only at the Australian region only, but not in the remaining other country. We can't observe that organisms. Such organism is a main example for the discontinuous distribution. Not only that, the emu birds and so some of the organisms, the Rio americana is there. Such organisms are completely adapted to live in the particular areas only. So and that they may not be changed, their adaptation to live, the adjustments may not be performed by such organisms for sharing that so for lived in the another areas. That's why those are permitted to live for only such different complete areas only. That is also one of the reason for that discontinuous distribution. And now the continental drift. So the continental drift, so the movement of the mantle layer, mainly the earth crust, so the ocean regions, the continents. So our world map that was so many years back, the continents all are so nearby. One continent is completely very closer to the another continent, but so gradually what happens is so the distance was gradually developed in the middle of one continent to the another continent. That should be happened, that was mainly occurred with the help of the movement of the mantle layer. So you are clearly right what is the mean by continental drift. Then only, and I also given the diagram for this continental drift. You also draw that in your final examination. Then only that was helpful for fetching of some more marks for these question. Why? Because it's completely dry. So that is a continental drift. So based on so the overall these are all the climatic conditions and the geographic region, that is a completely the same mechanism, and that was the same question. And so it is a very important essay, only it is only the essay, and the remaining the continental drift and the discontinuous diffusion and the Wallace line only for the short answer questions. Only they are asked to write only for the short answer, but not for essay. It is a completely the third unit, and now the fourth unit. And now the fourth one, that is evolution. So in these the topic, that is theories of evolution, those theories are Lamarckism, Neo-Lamarckism, Darwinism, and Neo-Darwinism, and a modern synthetic theory, evidence of evolution. Modern synthetic theory, Evidences of evolution. Forces of evolution, natural selection. Genetic drift. Genetic flow. Genetic load. Organic evolution, that is a Hady Weinberg equilibrium. Pre-mating and post-mating isolation. Speciation. Methods of speciation. Allopatric and sympatric. Causes of role of extinction of evolution. So, it is a fourth unit. So, in these the theories of evolution, Lamarckism, Neo-Lamarckism, Darwinism, Neo-Darwinism, so many questions are there, and so the number of the important questions are there in these fourth unit. So, you first you concentrate on these fourth unit. Why? Because the third unit is a very less the short unit, and so only one important essay question is there, but here the number of the questions, important questions are there included in the unit 4, that is the theories of evolution, that is a Lamarckism. So, mainly it is mainly they asked to write about the so individually they asked to write about the Lamarckism and Neo-Lamarckism. Otherwise, they asked to write Darwinism or Neo-Darwinism for essay. And modern synthetic theory, sometimes they also asked to write modern synthetic theory, then also you write the same answer, that is about the some information about the Lamarckism, Neo-Lamarckism, Darwinism, Neo-Darwinism, and the evidences of evolution. They asked to write the question, the evidence of evolution, then also you repeat the Lamarckism. These are 4 only. So, the modern synthetic theory, the question is modern synthetic theory, otherwise the evidence of evolution. So, the Lamarckism, Neo-Lamarckism, Darwinism, Neo-Darwinism. So, in these so you write only single answer, that is complete information about the Lamarckism, Neo-Lamarckism, Darwinism and Neo-Darwinism, and that was came under so mainly the modern synthetic theory and evidence of evolution. That was a complete information about the theories of evolution. It is a very important essay. So that is the theories of evolution, modern synthetic theory and evidence of evolution. The answer is common. The answer is common, that is a Lamarckism, Neo-Lamarckism, Darwinism, Neo-Darwinism, modern synthetic theory, evidence of evolution. And the second question, that is the forces of evolution. That is natural selection, genetic drift, genetic flow, genetic load is there. So sometimes they ask individually asked to write these are question only for short answer, that is individually write about the genetic drift and write about the genetic flow and write about the genetic load. Individually they asked to write. Individually they asked to write, that is what is the mean by genetic drift and what are the examples for that. So you clearly mentioned so definition of the genetic drift and you mentioned the example also, and so with the diagram is there and the genetic flow. So definition of the genetic flow and the example of genetic flow and the diagram of the genetic flow, then only you got the full marks for the short answer question. And the genetic load is also there. And so another question, a very much important essay is there in these same unit, that is a Hady-Weinberg equilibrium. There is no question paper without these question. There is no question paper without these single question. Why? Because that much of importance, that much of priority is there for this question, that is a Hady-Weinberg equilibrium. So much important question, very much important question. So that is a Hady-Weinberg law or Hady-Weinberg equilibrium. They asked to write so that is organic evolution, and sometimes they directly give the asked to write about the Hady-Weinberg equilibrium. Then you write the what is mean by Hady-Weinberg equilibrium. So 100 population, so 100 organisms in a population. So on those so some 75% are dominant, remaining 25% are only recessive, and based on that reason always the genetic frequency, that is a population, that is a gene frequency is always 1, that is a p square plus 2pq plus q square equal to always 1. That is the main law of Hady-Weinberg equilibrium. So you can able to write this question, and you got 20 out of 20 for this question. Why? Because it was completely resemble like a mathematics problem, that's why you got full marks. So you clearly mentioned the frequency. You clearly mentioned so what is the mean by P, what is the mean by Q, what is the mean by 2pq. So but now the implementation of the substitution of the p square plus 2pq plus q square. So on the complete 100 populations, 100 organisms in population, how many are the dominant are there, how many characters are recessive are there. So you're going to substitute those number in that particular formula, and so finally you got a 1. Finally you got the 1. So otherwise that was a completely vary from the Hady-Weinberg equilibrium. That is a complete different away from the Hady-Weinberg equilibrium. That was completely matched with the Hady-Weinberg equilibrium. Then you got the 1. So always that formula is equal to 1. Then only that was completely the Hady-Weinberg equilibrium. So you clearly mentioned the examples, the cat population or the rat population. So you can take the so much amount of 75% of the dominant organisms and the remaining 25% of recessive organisms, and finally that was equal to always 1. So you clearly substitute those number, and you got finally that was equal to always 1. Then only, and you can you also mentioned the so p equal to the dominant so genetic allelic frequency, and q is the recessive allelic frequency. 2pq that was equal to so one of the dominant, that is a combination of the dominant and the so recessive allelic frequency, that was multiplied by the 2. So you clearly mentioned and that was completely equal to the 1. So that was then only you got the full marks, and so it is a very important essay based on so that is theories of evolution like the Lamarckism, Neo-Lamarckism. So as usual it is also one of the important essay, but the genetic drift, genetic flow, genetic load is there, but those questions may not be come from the essay. Those are completely individually they asked to write. Sometimes they also asked to write about the genetic drift and genetic flow also. That was also came from the that short answer question for 10 marks. And the third that was another topic is also there, that is nothing but the pre-mating and the post-mating isolation. It is a very much important for short answer question. Totally this unit is completely important. Totally, so you completely concentrate on these unit. So you read the total topics in these unit. Why? Because so it may possess that much of importance of these unit. So mainly the first topic is also important, first chapter, second chapter is also important, and the third chapter, that is organic that was a Hady Weinberg equilibrium, and another chapter, that is a pre-mating and post-mating isolation process are there. Sometimes they also asked to write these question for essay and short answer also. This question came from came for the short answer and also for essay. It is important for short answer and essay. So once you prepare this question, then you can able to answer the short answer and also for the essay. And so the last topic, that is a speciation, that is also very important essay. 3 essay questions are there in this unit only. In the third unit only 1 essay question is there. In the third unit only the geographical regions, climatic and animal fauna of geographical regions, that is the only important essay is there. But here the completely 3 essays are there. So those are the first, and that is a Lamarckism, Neo-Lamarckism, and that was a Hady Weinberg equilibrium is another essay, and the pre-mating and post-mating isolation. Sometimes they also asked to write that is for essay and also for the short answer question, and the last question is there. So the last chapter is there, that is a speciation, and the types of speciation is there. So these are types of speciation, especially for it was they asked to write these questions also for the essay. 3 essays are there. So Darwinism, these chapter, Hady Weinberg equilibrium, and also the speciation, these 3 are the important essays. Completely these 3 are the important essays in these unit, and the remaining questions are also important for short answer, and also isolation is also came for important for essay and also for short answer question, and the genetic drift, genetic flow, genetic load are important for short answer question. So that's why you completely read this unit, completely read. So without any, so you may not be going to be leave any question. So you completely so follow the total these unit, then only you got the full marks. So in your final examination point of view, why? Because the third unit is a very short and very so it was a completely definitions are there, that was not asked to write for essay question, that is a Wallace line, discontinuous distribution, genetic continental drift, only for short answer question, not for essay questions. Only the geographical region is only the one of the essay, and the so remaining first and second unit we already discussed in a previous class. So then you so I think so that was a so these are the important essay questions. You first so you are completely concentrate on these questions, so then only you got the full marks for these questions. So otherwise so the fourth unit is a very much of important essay question, that is complete information about these 4 units. So that was ecology, geography and evolution. So these 3 topics are completely important topics. So these 3 are you may concentrate on these 3 questions. So then only you got the full marks. So that is a complete information about so your complete syllabus. So total 4 units. What are the important questions for essay and what are the important for a short answer question, and so the last unit is a very much important so chapter, important unit. Why? Because so it may possess very much of important essays, that's why it is a very much important. So, this is today's topic. So, it is totally over. So, you start reading. Why? Because the exams are very near to you. So, it is today's topic is over. Thank you.